Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of, quite frankly, a Howard Stern podcast, Ching Chong, Charlie, Don't Surf, a breakdown of February 18th to the 26th, 2020. Enjoy.
Hey, why don't you rub your cock up against the phone? Let me see what kind of noise it makes.
I'm not going to do that.
Just do it. It's a big deal.
Are you gay?
Which Howard are you talking to?
The one who asked that question.
Oh, no. I'm just trying to be entertaining, that's all. I'm not gay. Am I gay? Of course not. I have a wife.
A lot of gay men have wives.
Yeah, but come on. You know me. You know I'm not gay. I'm just asking the guy how big his cock is.
Well, you're asking him to rub it up against the phone.
And all you do is mooch off of people. You do nothing. You're a big homo.
That's not entirely true.
What do you do, really?
I'm bisexual and I don't mooch off everybody.
People are going to be shocked that you put out an exercise and diet book because they don't think of you that way, right? They think about you. But here you are today with is the book out now?
Yep, Formula 50.
Is there a bunch of pictures of you with your shirt off so we can see your muscularity?
Well, no, I didn't take my shirt off.
Musculature?
We got to have an example.
I want to see your musculature.
This is not about... this is not the Chippendale show, Robin.
Are you very ripped? If you took off your clothes now, you were totally nude. Would I see a man who is in the prime condition?
You have to have him totally nude.
Yeah.
But look,
would you mind being totally nude right now?
Yeah, I'm not taking my clothes off.
Please.
I was trying to give me a strip in here.
Please, if you don't mind.
Girls, you bring up here.
Take off your clothes. Take off your shirt. Let me see what's going on.
I'm not taking my shirt off.
I want to see if you got titties or not.
Last time I watched the show, I see you had the porn stars up there.
Yeah.
And y'all had the girls in here stripping and stuff like that. I'm like, me? You want to bring me here?
I want you nude right now.
Yeah, you got to be kidding me, man.
Come on, man.
I'm doing way too good for this kind of shit, Howard.
Look at your ass. You're so muscular.
Do you have muscles in your ass that you'd like to show?
I'm not doing this in a gay way. I just want to, see if you're fat or not. I just want to see. It's not gay.
No, I'm just saying,
man. The tip of your balls to the tip of your penis was over 9 inches.
No, right at the
9 inches.
Yeah. You making me feel good, man. Because when you watch porno, those dudes is like a foot.
9 is perfect.
Oh, all right. Well, maybe that's that's the secret. Oh, that's it. Wait, hold on, Robin. Is 9 perfect, Robin?
Perfect.
What does Howard mean by that?
You know exactly what I mean. My daughter's 15. All her friends are like consumed with who's gay and who isn't. Yeah, that's like a big thing.
That's the new thing.
Yeah, right. They think I'm gay. Yeah. Everyone's gay. And that's most important.
Well, the whole thing was going to be on the news.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm talking about when they do highlights.
Oh, he made the highlight reel.
Yeah.
Maybe the crying was for that.
So again, this is Star fucking Howard. The reason why he's going to Ed Bradley's
highlight reel.
He's going to Ed Bradley's funeral because he wanted to see what celebrities would be there. That was my favorite saga ever, when he got shunted to the back of the Ed Bradley funeral and bitched about it on the air, and then said, "Look, I know it's awful, and that was him being honest. I believe it. That wasn't a bit. That wasn't a joke. That was him going out of his way to starfuck at a funeral." And how many times did he ask guests? He asked Katie Seagal, "Did you cry? What was John Ritter's funeral like?" And then Brad Garrett about Peter Boyle's funeral. I have these audio clips. Like, isn't it great to be at like an A-list funeral? And
you know what's very revealing about Howard is the questions and comments that he makes.
Yeah,
he's incapable of recognizing that we're not all him.
Yeah.
So whenever he asks a celebrity question, isn't everyone jealous of you? Aren't you this or that? It's all him. It's all an attempt to paint a portrait of him. So when he makes a comment like, "Oh, he made the highlight reel," that's his way of thinking about things. So he assumes Jimmy must be thinking, "I better do something to make the highlight reel." He doesn't have the mental capacity to imagine that we are different. And first of all, I think he and Beth are sociopaths.
I agree.
And there's a lot of evidence to support that.
Yeah, and one of my favorite examples of Beth is when the Benji interview with her that is great, where not only does she gleefully admit to cheating on every man she's ever dated except for Howard, she says she would prefer only animal eyes to look at her and not human eyes. And and she thinks that's showing her love of animals.
Animals, yeah.
And I listen to that and go, you don't have to choose only animals get to see me or people get to see me. And That sounds like a sociopath would say that. I'm only comfortable with animals seeing me. Why? Because people judge.
And in that clip too,
things.
Yeah.
Benji also said that because he questions her motives for taking care of animals, saying, well, you could do this without the fanfare of a gala, or do you like to be noticed?
Right.
Or do you like the attention for being an animal advocate, an animal savior? Because you're obviously publicized heavily for being one.
She
says, no, I do this for the animals. I do it. I look into their eyes and I do this for them. Well, if you're just doing this for them, then why do you need 15 media outlets to say every day what you're doing for these animals, or taking pictures of it, harassing your cats on Instagram every day?
I was going to say, go ahead.
Why do you need to slide in bikini photos of yourself every 30 or 60 shots?
I was going to say, she doesn't. Yeah, go ahead, Zen. I'm sorry,
just
Ben.
that the animals, she's not helping the animals. The animals are helping her. They give her an audience that she can say, here's me in a bikini.
It looks like it's not even animal eyes are good enough, because they seem to be losing them at a rapid pace at Chimney Manor, their own eyes, and they're spooned out. I don't know if there's much more for this clip, but we'll play. There's about a minute left, but we'll try it.
Well, yeah, because I think everyone was kind of like, even the anchor people on the news are like, I didn't know he was friends with Kobe Bryant. Wow.
Like Sam said, you don't have to have been friends with him. It's sad.
Yeah.
And Sam, I have the same way. I followed very little of this. But when I think I just read what she said, and I was moved. Talking about how you take care of her and I'll take care of the ones that are here about her kid. Yeah. And I was, but so I heard it on television, and I had my back to the television. I was moved by that.
I could give two shits about basketball. I knew that his nickname was Mamba. I have no idea why. I knew he played for the Lakers. That's it. I don't know anything else. Not one thing. When this tragedy occurred and it came across, the TV and the news, and then obviously the story built, and then his child was involved, and it was so awful. And then the Grammys were that night. And Alicia Keys got up on stage, and she, gave a very sincere condolences to the family and talked about how sad this is, but we'll be here together and we'll celebrate his life in music. And Boyz II Men came on stage and sang that. I lost it. And I have no connection to these people. And it's just a sad thing that happened. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't understand human emotions. Mm-hmm. He seriously thinks of it as a transactional. Tears equal ratings. Yes.
Yeah. He doesn't understand. They're trying to illustrate to people, trying to give them the idea, the difference between a sociopath and a king baby. And a king baby has feelings, but they're limited to the age of maybe 2 years old. So there's no empathy. A sociopath has no feelings whatsoever. So he's borderline perhaps, but he does care about his own feelings. So it may not be, he's just not empathetic in the slightest. So the NPD or one of the people on the site says covert NPD sufferer. And I'm very fascinated in looking into that a little more with that poster and with another couple of group members in the, quite frankly, Facebook group.
One thing I wonder is when Robin plays along and goes, oh, that's probably why he did it. Mm-hmm. Do you think Robin has just been corrupted over the years to think the way that Howard thinks, at least while she's getting paid to?
Yeah.
I sometimes think that too. I don't know that she's actually as dark and cynical and ugly as her character, as she calls it, is on the radio. Because she can be swayed. Whatever Howard's take is on things is her take on things, for the most part.
She is severely narcissistic, though.
She is. That's true.
Yeah, but I think in this case, it's more a case of Howard says this. Now that's it's almost like a church choir. This is when you got to say hallelujah. So that's where the hallelujah comes in.
And that's why when I see that
to be a big black woman. Sorry.
That's when I hear people say she's the voice of reason. She's the echo. She's not a voice of reason. She just echoes whatever Howard says.
That's right. although these days more than she ever has, she's starting to get out with little digs, as if to say, to me, the way I'm reading into it is, I don't have much longer left on this life. So if any one time, every once in a while, I want to give you a dig, I got the cancer, I'm going to fucking say it. And she takes him to task. She takes him to task for this Kobe stuff because he starts to get into this biracial game. Like who's half black and who isn't. I'm not sure if it's part of this clip, but I know.
Who cares?
Only
like why?
Yeah,
you're gonna. So we're going to be upset with Sal for not knowing that somebody's Chinese or Korean, but we're gonna have a game guessing race. Are you fucking kidding
at the funeral,
me?
Howard was going, I can't tell that person's race. Okay, that person's black. What? In this day and age, he's watching and saying, I'm picking out the races of the people I'm looking at. He said the same thing about Kobe's wife. I can't tell what her race is. And
what does
Sal's
it matter?
the racist one? Because he couldn't tell if it was Korean or Chinese?
Yeah, and the point on our mockery thread, which everybody please join if you get a chance. It's actually a lot of fun if you're a regular listener and you can get away from your boss at work long enough to do it. You would only be an issue if race did matter to you. And it clearly has always mattered to Howard what race someone is. He's obsessed with it. He's been obsessed with racist humor, not racial humor, racist humor his entire career. And so I got to play that clip now because it's about a 2-minute clip. But
Jimmy's tears were all used up on Kobe. Maybe at this point I got to look for somebody else.
Yeah, because he has no more tears. I guess it goes to Jimmy Fallon.
I'll have to get Jimmy Fallon.
Kimmel has cried himself out.
Maybe I'll go with Colbert.
Could be.
That's right.
But I know that Jimmy would really put his heart into it.
You say you knew that Kobe Bryant's wife was not black.
No, yes, I did know that she was not black. You knew.
You knew.
You knew.
So this is where
cares?
This is where he spins it around and starts talking about Robin as if Robin's fascinated and has made a great study of who is half Haitian and half Dominican or whatever, half Irish and half black, whatever. And I was thinking, number one, first thought in my head was, why would it matter to you? Number one. Number two, where's the joke? In that order. Mm-hmm. I go, where's the humor in this? There's no one on the line. There's no one it's not a game that would be entertaining, funny, or I don't know, it just wouldn't be.
And this is how
revelatory.
We're segueing into it?
Yeah. Based on a funeral.
Well, that's what I wondered too, when Robin echoes one of Howard's racist, whatever sentiments.
Yeah.
Is Robin a satirist too? Because Howard's a satirist.
Right.
So you say it doesn't matter, but look who knew. Robin.
You knew. But they put it in the paper. I couldn't help but know.
Come on. When I looked at her I thought, all right, Mariah Carey. Is she part black?
Yes.
That's correct.
So this is the equivalent of saying to your friend, come on, whip out your dick. Come on.
Why don't we all just start wearing Stars of David again, for Christ's sake?
Moon the camera.
Seriously, what a fucking asshole.
Moon the camera at the wedding. Moon the camera. And then it's all of a sudden, look what he did. He mooned the camera. Mm-hmm. And so this bait and switch, it's not fooling anybody who's listening. Clearly, he's the one that instigates it. Robin's not asking. He's asking. No. Yeah.
But let me tell you how dumb Robin is.
Okay.
She didn't
so it's like a Jackie setup.
She didn't put a stop to this game because she was doing well at it. So her good feelings about getting right answers trumped her her knowing the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah,
if she had been doing poorly at this game, she could stand on her soapbox and say this is wrong. But because she did well at it, she had a keep it going kind of attitude.
Yeah,
her mother is
so
white.
True.
Irish actually, and she has an African American father. She was once quoted as saying, "As a little girl, I had blonde hair, and they looked at me and looked at him, her dad, and disgusted." So she took a lot of shit.
Yeah, go ahead.
This reminds me of like Harry Potter, like Muggles who are like half wizards and half human. Like, can you tell who's the Muggle? Like, what?
Well, yeah. In the past, it used to be, guess who's the Jew?
Guess who's the Jew? Yeah.
Right. I'm saying like,
now it's
this is so
black.
Racist.
Right. But he's not racist. It's Sal and Ronnie who are racist.
No, it's Robin's the one playing the game.
Yeah.
She's racist.
Let me ask you this, Miss Expert.
I didn't say I was an expert.
You're coming off like one. Derek Jeter. Black.
Yeah.
Jarek Jeter.
Very good. His mother is Irish German.
A lot of Irish and black.
I know. A lot of Irish love the blacks. His mother's Irish German.
Go ahead. Yep.
I want Rasan, who's the expert on racism and the most racist employee Howard has next to Howard, to explain how this isn't racist, what Howard's doing.
Because do we know that he's still? Do we know that he's still on the show?
Yeah,
the wrap-up show
listening to
anymore?
the wrap-up show last. Yeah, I was listening to the wrap-up show last week. A caller said he doesn't think that it's racist to say you're not going to eat Chinese food until this is straightened out. This coronavirus thing is what the caller said, and Rasan said. But Rasan says that's how you know racism will always be a problem in this country, because there will always be white guys saying racist things aren't racist. So Rasan believes what you choose to put in your body determines whether or not you're racist, and that white guys are the only people capable of racism. So when Rasan points out racism all the time and then goes and makes white guy comments, white people comments like crazy on Twitter, I've started a thread on this, showing dozens of examples of him putting down white people, specifically white people.
But not his boss.
Never his boss. So there, I used to go and tag Rasan and say, "Can you tell me, is this?" Especially when Rasan was last year. Remember the Covington Catholic thing, where Rasan was determined to paint those boys as racists who wear blackface and so on. He wouldn't acknowledge any tweet to him that had his own boss wearing blackface.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible just to listen to it.
Who knew Germans were so liberal?
Well, only when they're tempered with a little Irish.
You see what's going on in Germany now? It's like crazy over there.
That has not been cut out of that culture yet.
No, you
they need some more surgery.
Right, the German.
Now they don't. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know anything about Germany. What is he? I guess he's alluding to Nazism, but. Or Dan Quayle might have said
that's the only
Hitlerism.
Unacceptable form of racism for Howard.
Oh yeah, of course.
What is? What's the acceptable form?
He won't accept
anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism. Yeah.
That's exactly.
No, that one.
Yeah.
Right.
We will. Yeah, he'll go to town for that, and he'll make sure he points out every anti-Semitic thing that goes on. But this is fine.
Oh, and all the Christian bashing is fine. But if a Christian was to get out there and say anything about Jews, then they're racist. They're bigots.
That's right.
They're prejudiced.
Just can't stop.
Ugh.
Okay, that's the end of that clip. The next part, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was the I cooked for Beth, which made me kind of laugh.
Another laugh. Yeah, this is a good one.
Let me see if I can find. It's only a bit, and then I'm going to separate it because it goes on to some Ben bashing.
Gee, I probably should break here. I'm just plotting out loud, Robin.
Okay.
If I break now,
let me kill more time with this.
Do some stuff.
Dead air math.
News. Let me get out of time. Get over to my doctor's appointment.
Another doctor's appointment.
Go home. Peloton. Make dinner.
So this Peloton stuff, is it an ad? I want you guys' opinion. Ad, like paid plugs, or is he really supposedly into this? Because he always gets into things for a bit and throws them away.
Go ahead and explain why you think it's an ad. And then
I think that they're paying him to promote the product. Why else would he be discussing it at such a high volume all the time?
I think he doesn't have the pull that that we credit him sometimes for, and the proof of that is just to listen to anybody who's actually an advertiser of his, and you go, I've never heard of these things. The most legitimate brand he's had advertised with him was Skechers for a little while, which is no young person would be caught dead wearing Skechers. But I don't believe that he accepts that he's offered covert under the table money to or services to payola. I don't believe he's offered payola.
Wasn't there some kind of lawsuit in regards to not a lawsuit, but some kind of legal dispute about people making fake promotion, like people
disguising it as content.
Disguising it as content. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're talking about influencers on Instagram where they had to write sponsored content on it and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, there is. And Howard's not an influencer. And I really don't believe that legitimate companies seek him out and under the table pay him to talk about them.
Yeah, I don't believe it either, because it used to be that the time was when, I was watching the new Pam Anderson movie about, called Blah Blah, and I was whacking off to it. And back in the day, that to me is an example of how he would have done it.
Well, it used to be Apple. It was all Apple stuff. Apple. In
John
2013. Yeah.
But then
it was
he
Apple.
does things with like coffee. He was talking about Dunkin's or Starbucks.
And there are people who go, they're paying him under the table. And I think, don't fall for it. You're making it seem like he has more happening than he does. He doesn't have anything happening.
No, and his big advertisers got lost with Sirius. He used to have Heineken as a major sponsor and Beck's beer and like Budweiser.
Peloton though has gone on an advertising bonanza because sometimes it's on my YouTube commercials, and then it's also I see it on regular TV commercials now a lot.
Right, and I don't believe Sirius would allow him to accept under the table advertising, and I think he would be really putting his job at risk if he was to take it.
Maybe.
It's a full that.
Oh, please. I won't have a minute.
Oh, this is so exhausting. I hate him.
Kind of romantic.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said you were making dinner.
I cooked for her last night.
What'd you cook?
Eggs. Here's what I did.
That was a blurt, laugh out loud moment.
I did it again. It got me again.
Yeah. This is the guy who we're calling the master satirist. Unironically says he made eggs as a romantic dinner.
Yeah.
Eggs.
So we'll play a little bit more of that. Then I'm going to go to the, let me see if I got this right. Okay. The Ben bashing.
She said to me, "You're going to make me dinner tonight?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I microwaved 3 potatoes.
So not only
I love microwave.
So not only did he not actually, when you microwave things, Howard, I'm sorry to tell you, it's even though over the years they've released microwaving cookbooks, it's not cooking. It's not cooking. Almost anything with eggs is not cooking. I hate to say it, even though it is tough sometimes to get them over hard or sunny side up, especially if you're a gangly pelican with no motor skills and no knowledge of where the eggs might be in your house. It's not cooking. I'm sorry. So
potatoes.
Okay.
So good. I just put them in for 8 minutes, not 9, 8.
Why isn't there a Quasar plug or something?
I picture him as methodical as Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man when he does anything procedural like this. He doesn't take his eyes off the timer. He moves there in a measured way. Everything has to be done in a certain order because this was the way he was told how to do it.
Hold on.
And that's all he knows.
I gotta write this down.
Do you think if he made popcorn that he would call it cooking? Like popcorn?
Hold on. Main Rain Man microwave Photoshop. I gotta remember this one because anytime I get a good idea. Okay, let's see how much further this one.
Cut them up a little bit. Like I don't cut the potato up. I just cut into it so that it heats evenly.
Oh, good, because Grillo's not there to cut your potatoes anymore.
Stick them in the microwave, and they come out like almost too microwaved. But
that was one of my favorite. That was a miss. Did you hear? Live. Let me just play that one one more time. Okay. Hold on. Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me do that again. Every time you restart.
I just cut into it so that it heats evenly.
Okay.
I wash them, stick them in the microwave, and they come out like almost too microwaved, but it's good.
This sounds. Are we bringing this? Should we bring in the Orson Welles clip again?
All right.
Anyway, so I think that's most of that. And now going along with that is some.
Oh no! There's one other thing on there.
You want to keep going because it's a long clip.
No. You don't have to play it. You don't have to play it.
Okay.
But what you get out of this is that Robin doesn't know how to make eggs because when Howard says, it's actually challenging to make scrambled eggs. Robin goes, oh, okay. She has no idea if it's challenging or not.
No,
she doesn't know how to make scrambled
eggs. She has
a
cookbook.
She cooked nothing for that cookbook.
In the cookbook. And was
like
double the weight.
The cookbook that she won an NAACP award for best instructional book are recipes by Latin American chef Christopher Sanchez that Robin had nothing to do with.
We're talking about the Vegucation of Robin, everybody, which was Photoshop. It was a gift from God, the front cover. And we've made lots. I'm going to have to redo some of them, maybe.
But some of the potato, you can almost...
A little crinkled.
It's crinkled up. You can't even eat through it. And I don't put anything on it. That's it.
We know.
And then I made scrambled eggs. Beth cuts up the cheese. That's her job is to cut the cheese.
That was a on-the-fly 112.
Yeah. That's your master satirist.
She cuts up the cheese. And then I get a big frying pan with olive oil. And then I scrambled that up, made scrambled eggs and potatoes. She loves it.
What?
I mean, if you're 11 years old, you can make this. If you're 7 years old, you can make this in certain homes. Anyway, I found that hilariously funny because you just know that must have been, he might have been sweating.
Is 7. She can make scrambled eggs and uses the Keurig. And on Saturdays, because she's such a sweetheart, I'll say, can you go make me coffee? And she'll make me a cup of Keurig coffee and put cream in it with no problem. She's 7.
This degenerates into some pointless Ben bashing. I can't recall the exact context, but hold on for a second. Let me see if I can get this through. Because that was the half black. That was the half.
They're
black,
really, you know what? The context, whatever it is artificial because it was planned.
Yeah.
And then they need some kind of bridge to get to it, so they just come up with whatever they can.
This was it. Fake Bernie Sanders was in the studio doing his Ben impression, talking to Howard like a regular dad.
Exactly.
Howard said his dad never kept a picture of him in his wallet. I don't know. Would you? Fake Ben was
that is not child. Howard considers that child abuse.
Yeah.
That his parents didn't show strangers pictures of their son when their son wasn't around. How would he even know that they were doing this? And let's say they did carry pictures. How would he know that they actually showed those pictures to people?
Mm-hmm.
But in his mind, that's child abuse. And you know that he never showed a stranger a photo of his children.
Also, my father loves me. He didn't have pictures of us in his wallet.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
I mean, my mom did in the 90s.
Yeah, my dad had a family picture, a small one in the wallet because it was kind of trendy when I was a kid. But my mother certainly didn't, and it wasn't. Even though we had shitloads of pictures at home, tons of them all over the place. So that's the basis of that. And
does Howard imagine that he would welcome a stranger showing him photos of his children? Howard hates children. So
right.
Ben saying, we're not going to go and show strangers photos of our children. Why? He's got a good point. Why?
Well, yeah, that was the idea. And but also because it helped because he didn't give a fuck about his own children. So this was him going into Ben bashing. Just one moment. Let me see if I can find it. Father Hunger Faggotry. Okay, there we go.
I would go like, what would that be like if my dad kind of cuddled up to me next to me in bed? And then
that's erotic.
we know exactly what that means.
Yeah. It's like, what story would you like?
What?
Oh,
microwave.
Like a loving Ben Stern? What the fuck would that be like?
What would you be like if you had that?
Howard.
Yes, Dad?
I was just thinking of you. And how much I love you.
Oh my God, Dad!
Sounds like Dracula Gottfried.
I was listening to you.
He really needs help. He's almost 70. He has kids of his own, and he's still.
Yeah, it's revolting, and it's really obnoxious.
I have this fantasy that Howard's therapist has no idea that Howard even has children because they mean so little to him. He's never brought them up in 20 years.
What was that one line you had, Ben? You're always you're endlessly quotable. Something like, you can imagine the psychiatrist going, "What? You have children?"
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Suddenly,
you're not 15.
So, wrapping this all up, on the 26th of Wednesday was an introduction into talking about warehouse clearance. As I said, he has 0 inbox. Now he has 0 warehouse, where he collected all of his memorabilia and paraphernalia over the years, and is like a lot of stars. Gene Simmons has a huge selection of vaults that he has all of his memorabilia that he sells or gives away to charity sometimes. And so he had Jason coming in talking about an itemized list of what's in there, and Ralph talking about, what they've got and what he wants and stuff. Did you want to talk about it a little bit, Sam?
Yeah. So this warehouse first of all, I thought this whole thing was, Jason sounded so excited, like it was Christmas morning, to be in studio and to be able to show what a suck ass he is. Mm-hmm. So he's clearing out this warehouse, and these items that he's throwing away, I'm kind of surprised, because if he was such a music fan, one of them was a signed photo, I believe, of John Lennon and Yoko Ono, didn't he say? And he wasn't sure if it was real. So he's just like, throw it away. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Aren't you like the biggest Beatles fan ever? I mean,
probably
wouldn't you want to make sure it's real or not if you are such a fan, which is weird. But I also, I thought it was interesting just to see that he was going to be giving away stuff, and he wanted to make sure Ralph had first dibs at everything.
Of course.
My first thought was, Jason, you're not a producer, because producers aren't asked to go clean out warehouses like you're being asked to do.
Right.
Well, this is Howard's personal stuff. Yeah. And he's telling a radio producer to go be in charge of clearing out my shit for me. And to hear Howard talk about it, and he does this intentionally, the most extravagant luxury he affords himself is a storage locker, because he keeps talking about, the price of this, all the money I'm spending on storage. You've got a $60 million home that you visit a few times a year. Yeah. This storage locker is nothing.
He could also just store this stuff in that gigantic palatial home that only 2 people live in.
Yeah,
2
absolutely.
people and some cats that they never see.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, what's sad about all of this, funny for us, is that he envisioned a Howard Stern traveling museum.
Yeah, ages ago.
I guess would enter your town like Cirque du Soleil, and you just come in and pay to walk past index cards that were signed by celebs. And
sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. Seriously.
In 1993, right before they put the makeup back on, or 95 maybe, Kiss did a series of conventions where they took their stuff out of the warehouse and they did unplugged sessions with the current band at the time without the original members, the other two, the guitarist and the drummer. And it was really a success. People paid a lot of money to see the old costumes up close and whatever. He, first of all, is not going to go into the producing of that. He's not going to put the money forward. And he also knows that in 2020, no one would go. No one would give a flying fuck.
Plus, what of his do you really want to see in person for yourself?
No. I mean, what do you want? The Gary puppet? Do they even have that anymore?
Well, that was one of the things. They said that the Jackie puppet, no, we have to keep that. We're not.
Right.
But yeah, you got to keep that.
Are you going to look at Debbie Tay's ashes?
Right.
I mean,
why, this is just, as I said, there is nothing in his life that he's accountable for, including deciding whether or not he wants to keep things he's been holding on to forever.
So if he's such a disciple of David Allen, wouldn't this be a perfect time to show your skills?
I think delegate is one of the top things that you should do, according to GTD.
Yeah, if you can't do something in 2 minutes, if you can't answer an email in 2 minutes, or deal with something in 2 minutes, you delegate, or you get rid of it, or you delegate someone to take care of it for you. In other words, absolve yourself of responsibility.
Exactly. That's the kind of disciple he is.
Yeah.
Any religion that says take no responsibility, he says, I'm all for this religion.
So he also, just one sec, Sam. So he also used this as an excuse to bash Dr. Drew, who sent him these old Mad magazines, and at the time he gave him shit, and I felt like if I were Dr. Drew, I would have also told him to go fuck himself then, just like Jimmy with that whole baby situation. But he said he sent him all of his old Mad magazines. He said they were all garbage. He said he should send Drew a bill for storage every month, which makes no sense. If he threw them all out, then that joke made no sense.
Also, too, he talked about what a fan he was of Mad Magazine his entire career. He even put it in private parts where he's reading it as a kind of nod to Mad Magazine. So why wouldn't Dr. Drew think he would appreciate that gift?
Well, yeah, Dr. Drew made the same mistake that people who think Howard likes music make.
Yep.
And that is they believe him, and he does not like Mad Magazine. He doesn't like music. Don't send him anything.
No, and the
It'll all end up in that warehouse.
Yeah.
As Ben and Ray can tell you, your kindness will be used as a weapon against you forever.
Oh,
so,
yes.
just in the same way that Great Garloo, buying him what he begged for, is now the worst thing that they ever did for him, and they're to be blamed and punished. That's what Dr. Drew is saying. You know what? This is meaningful to Howard. I'm going to give it to him, and you're going to be punished forever.
And let me just see if I can find it. One moment. I'm going to set it up here. Okay. Now, I didn't want to do this, but I'm just going to set up this. We're going to play a little portion of Penis, 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 which is on my clip, because it's setting up the high-pitch errors. Chris Wilding is going to find this is the premise. He's going to find this retarded guy or fake retarded guy's dick. And I'm struggling to figure out why they thought this was worthy of playing.
You want to have Chris?
Sorry. What does anybody? Was the concept funny? Anybody?
No. So a couple months ago, we learned that High Pitch Eric, who we've known for a long time, is bisexual.
Yeah.
That he fantasizes about men constantly.
Yeah.
That Chris Wilding is his latest obsession.
Yes.
And apparently they were in a flatbed truck together, or a pickup truck together, the back of a pickup truck. Right. And this annoyed Ralph because Ralph has something for Chris Wilding. I mean, the show is all men who are into men.
Yeah.
That's
bisexual.
Or Eric is smarter than we all think, since he's able to run credit card scams, limo scams, food stamp scams. What else does he do?
Credit card scams, music company
scams.
Scams
Rely on super fans of Howard being helpful to him, though.
Absolutely, and he got busted for it many times. Although,
maybe he just realizes, if I act gay, I'm gonna get airtime.
Well, this was planned, not scripted. I hate when Tracy Lynn and I were talking about this. There's no scripting. There's no scripted stuff on the show. It implies that they write out a script and they stick to it. It implies, A, that they have the work ethic to write a script every day, and B, that they have the ability to work with a script, because we know Howard can't memorize and he can't read. So when we say scripted, we mean planned. It's all mapped out, what's going to happen, how long this should take before this break. So it's pre-planned. It's calculated, but it's not, and it's planned, but it's not scripted. So people stop using that word.
Do you think Wilding knows this obsession with him?
Oh, yes.
So he was a part of the planning of this?
Well, no. So you remember, how Tracy Lynn reminded us of this, that when they were talking about how much High Pitch was into Chris Wilding, Howard suggested, would you like to come into the studio and make out with him? And Chris Wilding says, I love my job, but I don't want to do that. And it's a moment where he probably had to go, I have this job because I'm willing to do gay stuff.
Yes.
I don't know if I want to point this out too. Howard has his first gay employee. Oh, he had Gay Rich in the past, but that was just an intern. He's got his first gay employee. He had Mike for a little while, but Mike pretended to not be.
Aside from Ralph, who's admittedly bisexual.
Yeah, right. But we got one who's finally willing to say, I'm gay.
Yeah.
And as a result, he's a star on the show. He's one of the few staffers whose name we know.
Yeah.
Now, he's got women in the back office whose names have never been mentioned. They contribute to the show. They do Ivanka Trump impressions. They do Cardi B. They do lots of different women impressions. Yeah. Now, if you heard that for airtime, these women are going to go and try to find High Pitch Eric's penis, would you think, how do you get away with that? How could you possibly say my female employees are going to do this for me?
Right.
So I like to reverse the things that we hear on this show and go, what if this was a woman? Yeah. Let's reverse High Pitch Eric. High Pitch Eric has a 66 IQ.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 points higher than Wendy the retard. Wendy the slow adult.
And only 15 lower than Howard.
Yeah. I looked this up the other day. Think about Tom Hanks and Forrest Gump. Do you know what his IQ, Forrest Gump's IQ is?
In the movie, I can't remember. 75.
So think about how Tom Hanks plays a 75 and High Pitch Eric is a 66.
Yeah.
But so anyway, 5 points separate High Pitch and Wendy. Would the world who looks the other way when he brings in a man with 66 IQ and says, take off your pants if you want to come to the studio and let us see your penis for my cameras and my smiling face, would they look the other way if he did this to a woman who had a 66 IQ?
Mm-hmm.
So why is it okay that he does this to a man? And why is it okay for him to ask his male gay employee, I want you to go and find this guy's penis for my camera?
Yeah.
Well then we have to ask the question. They've got to have some kind of waiver that they sign before they do this.
Regardless, why doesn't the media? Why doesn't humanity care that men are having this done to them? Because it's a gag that
maybe because they presume they're workers. They know that if they don't want to do this, they don't do this. So what should we care if they choose to debase themselves in this fashion?
Would they say that if this was a woman we're talking about?
They would be probably more disgusted, but because it's a gay person, for some reason they say, well, that's I don't know.
I think it's less about gay than it is about male. And males, they just say, hey, a male can't be pressured by his male boss to do sexual things.
But let's also be clear about something. This, when you hear it, I wanted to quote Rob L, but I can't remember exactly the quote. But they said, guys, this is not designed for entertainment for the listeners. This is strictly for their closeted morning zookeeper boss with a low IQ to get his jollies off the same way when he was at Well Met and when he was in his basement with puppet shows and with Playboys and taking out Ben's porn stash, that he probably wanted his male friends to jerk off in front of him. I don't think there's much difference between now him at 67 or however old he is and when he was 12 and jerking off to or having an erection to cartoons, male cartoon characters on TV.
The Stern Show is straight for pay.
Yep.
So when Howard was bringing women in all the time in the 90s, there was a good reason for that. You could put them on the E! Show and get a lot of ratings, or you could put them in a video and sell a lot more videos, or you could put them on the stage and have a lot more people come up to to see Jessica Hahn's see-through outfits, or you could have them go on.
It was also a gigantic distraction for his own sexuality and his relationship with Ralph.
Well, but I will say though, there is money to be made in heterosexuality, showing guys, his audience is mainly guys, showing them naked women.
At that time.
Yeah.
And people like to think that Marcy coming on is the reason why Howard stopped having naked women on his show. And that's not the case.
No.
Marcy came on, and then it was when Howard TV ended about 10 months later. It was more than 10 months, but since she got hired, it's about 10 months later, that there was no longer a possibility of making another penny off of a woman. Mm-hmm. Women came into the studio for Howard TV, for Howard to make Howard TV sales. So they're going to be on the Sibian, guys, you got to watch this. You got to see Miss Howard TV this month. She's incredible. But you got to pay for my TV service if you want to see what I'm talking about right now. The second that TV service went away, so did naked women. But not naked men. So when I said that the Stern Show was straight for pay, it was if there's money to be made, I'm going to be straight. But if this is just me, I'm going to be following my desires, and that's going to be penises.
That's got to be it.
Yeah, and when people say, "Oh, Howard could never retire," he has this ego he needs. That's part of it. But how else is he going to coax men to show them his penis? How else is he going to do that?
Yeah, and I think, this is key. when you listen to the clip, I'm going to play a few like longer, sort of semi-long, like 30-second clips of during the game, so you can hear him almost describe it clinically, not with the revulsion you'd expect from someone who claims to be straight. Because I'm not disgusted by homosexuality. I don't really care. I'm indifferent, to be honest. But I find it vile when people talk about graphic, like when the people talk, I get uncomfortable when people talking about penis, because it's not natural. It's not natural conversation. But to him, it seems to flow out effortlessly, the same way Daniel Carver might yell out the N-word so effortlessly, and Howard might too. So I'm going to play just the YouTube compilation that I made, just briefly, not all of it. And just all I did was edit all the penis mentions together. And if anybody wants it, just look up penis on YouTube.
Search for High Pitch Eric's penis. That's the big piece today.
Maybe not.
Searching for Eric's penis. Chris asked if he could see Medicated Pete's penis. Well, if there's one thing we know about Pete, it's that he likes showing off his huge cock. But
is the thing about the penis?
Yeah.
I've never even held a penis that size before in my life.
Play the high pitch theme song.
Okay, I'm not going to go into it further, but that was also you said it was they ripped off Carmen Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego for the theme song?
They've been making references to Carmen Sandiego for 5 years now, and Howard has no idea they're doing it or what Carmen Sandiego is. Right. He just says, put it on my show. I don't care about my show. Do whatever. He doesn't need it. It doesn't need to be something he understands for him to say, let's go for it.
Right.
I really would love if somebody asked him what that was.
Right. He wouldn't have no idea.
Because then why would, he would have no idea.
But here's that we're hearing penis. We're bringing in. So we need to understand that's satire, right? He's bringing in a penis to look at it because it's satire.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. What's the satire? What's the joke?
Yes.
Okay. Radio also had this culture of kind of like a fraternity, like you're pledging. So interns and employees, not just Howard's show, but other radio shows that I listened to had this, you have to do this bit or your job's on the line type of thing. It was almost like a hazing every day in some aspects of some shows where they would make them do these uncomfortable things. And I remember like some sort of challenges on Opie and Anthony where one of them almost died. It was a cinnamon challenge and they made him eat all the cinnamon and he had like an anaphylactic sort of thing that happened. And it was like a serious thing that happened. I think that the culture though has obviously changed in radio and it's not so much that fraternity hazing thing, but Howard seems to continue it only though when it comes to look at a cock, touch a cock, kiss a guy, jerk him off. Why is that okay?
And this is not even gay chicken, which is what it used to be sort of. This is two gay men. This is two gay guys who are, let me see what you guys would do. I mean, the whole point of this was, this is the joke. Can Chris Wilding find High Pitch Eric's penis?
Right.
So you go, yeah, you could. I suspect he knows right where to look. And he did. Now it's small, but the game was, can he find it? Yes, he could find it.
Yeah. Talk about telegraphing your punch.
What it was, I want to get my jollies off. I want to look at this circus sideshow of gay, and I want to be the puppet master of it.
Absolutely. So when I'm going to play a couple clips that are separated from this, and it's this one, Wig frothing over upcoming high pitch Eric Chris Wilding gay bit.
It's like a big game hunt.
Yeah. Don't you think instead of The Great American Nightmare, they should be playing like Tainted Love or something a little upbeat and gay themed, like I don't know, Delight or something else at this point? Yeah. Right said Fred.
Searching for Eric's penis. The best part I like about when Eric comes in is that I go, Eric, you're gay. And he goes, I'm not. And I go, well, you got a boner when you grab Donnie's ass and you
talking about Donnie Wahlberg from Blue Bloods.
Jerk off to Donnie Wahlberg, and now you're obsessed with Chris Wilding, and
the way he's sounding now, it's not that it's true. He's imagining this. It's all him sort of narrating the story the way he wants it to go. And that's what's most disturbing to me. There are people out there that even on the channel that will say, guys, it's a bit, guys, I'm still a fan. How could you be a fan of this show listening to this just on the merits of entertainment? I don't know how you'd find it entertaining on any level, even if you were gay or if you were not gay. It doesn't matter. Same difference. Where's the comedy? Yeah, Sam.
How dead is the Donnie Wahlberg horse? Seriously.
Yeah, that's
and this whole idea.
Why is it important for Howard to explain to a gay man that he's gay?
Yeah,
it's like no, I need to keep reiterating this to you. I need to tantalize you. I need to see you get aroused, and then I need to point it out to you. And this won't be the last time this happens. He will still find another way. Eric doesn't believe me that he's gay, so I'm going to bring in a whole bunch of naked porn stars for him to look at just to prove to him.
Wasn't this an old KC bit where he called him on the phone and modulated his voice and said, "Would you be willing to be in a gay porn film?"
Yeah, that's right.
And then played it. So that would have been, we're talking 17, 18 years ago.
You know what? I got that clip on Napster. So that's 20 years ago.
Yeah. Casey was still on the show, and then they brought it in. He said, "You're gay." No, I'm not. And he's been doing this since forever. And the lie detector bits with Ralph and Cabby talking about his experiences and stuff. He's been obsessed with outing people.
And
is this him
right.
flying too close to the sun again?
I often comment that the legacy of the Howard Stern show is for Howard Stern to explain to us that every man but him is gay.
Right.
And he's doing that one by one. Every whackpacker, it turns out, is gay. I mean, from Joey
Captain
Boots
Janks.
to Captain Janks, Elephant Boy.
Well,
bye anyway. Bigfoot.
K. Ramone, obviously.
Yeah, K. Ramone. But all of these guys suddenly are gay also.
Joey
Boots. I think what is it that about Howard that they flock to? Because they're always like guys who it's not like they're witty guys. It's not like they appreciate satire. And I just think, is there something about Howard that speaks to them that they go, I see myself in him?
Maybe it's not.
Well, High Pitch Mike literally verbally said that. I see myself as you. He said that. High Pitch Mike.
Right.
I don't remember.
Oh,
this.
really? High Pitch Mike.
High Pitch Mike said when he was writing, or it was the Disney World saga, and he said about going on the trip for himself. He goes, I see myself like you, kind of a loner type. And he verbatim said, I see myself as you and like you.
And this was before Mike came out, which it was about as surprising when KD Lang came out. But the thing was, is this, I'm sorry to cut you off. Is this, I don't think they resonate with him, Ben. I think they're answering a casting call, to be honest with you. I think they're putting out the feelers saying any gay, mentally incompetent people, mentally handicapped people, anybody with an impediment, come on in. We can use you. And we're not going to pay you, but you'll get airtime. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Anybody know anybody gay and retarded? That's as simple as it gets.
It took time for these guys, to feel comfortable enough. And sometimes it was, oh, you're still around? Oh, so then you start to be suspicious, like Janks.
Well, you never want to show your limp-wristed hand too early, Ben.
But like Elephant Boy was responding to gay couples, in a dating ad.
Sam, you wanted to say?
Also, Ralph failed the gate test when he did the lie detector test, but we are never going to push that narrative. They had people calling in who were saying, we caught him making out with another man on his front doorstep. Howard will never go beyond that conversation. He's not going to have Ralph on and grill him the way he grilled KC or the way he grilled Mike or the way he grills Eric. Why?
Yeah. And my favorite.
Go ahead.
My favorite gay-related test that they've done, because they do those tests, is the one that they just did, where Ed Torian tested Howard and others to see if they were secretly gay.
Did you want to take a break?
Which is an obsession. A 65-year-old man should not be so obsessed with proving that he's not gay, and thinking that it's on our minds at all time. What? Just because you keep bringing in men and seeing their penises, why would we think you're gay? So anyway, they do the tests, the lie detector tests. It's the first time we don't know any of the questions. We don't get to hear them answer the questions. Mm-hmm. They come back and Howard says the answer. Here's what Ed is answering. Were they truthful or not truthful? And Howard miscasts that as, if you answered untruthfully, you're gay. If you answered truthfully, you're not gay. Did I answer truthfully? Yes. But we don't know what the questions were.
Right.
And we don't know how he answered those questions.
Right.
So it could have been, do you fantasize about men? Yes. So, but he answers, did I lie when I answered? No. That means I'm straight.
Yeah. Let's continue with that one.
That whole discussion.
Yeah, what's gay about his actions?
Right. Like he just completely says, I'm not gay. And I love that.
He's only in love with Chris and wants him to touch
Why do you love that? So you love that somebody who's supposedly gay is still closeted and they don't feel comfortable about their sexuality? Why would you love that?
I've historically loved outing people.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely.
in the 90s, he used to
Ellen.
Tease
Rosie
Ellen.
O'Donnell.
Yep.
You know,
Rosie.
he used to tease them as, you know, I know some stuff about this one. Let's just say it's quite an acting job convincing us that she's got a boyfriend in this movie. He'll say stuff like that.
More recently, it was Jamie Foxx, as far as maybe 2012, and who later came in, and of course they addressed that thing, and he said, "Oh, I was just roasting." There was no roasting going on. It wasn't a roast situation.
When you think back on Howard's obsessions in the 80s and 90s of outing people, he has basically always had four obsessions: who's gay, how much money does somebody make, who's Jewish, and last of all, who wears a wig. And you go, why is the wig thing an obsession of yours? And how are you so good at spotting who wears wigs? And how are you why are you so obsessed with who's secretly gay?
Who's skinny and who's looks like they're going to be fat? Like push it,
right.
like they look like.
Right. But he prided himself on the things that only he could see. And that was spotting a wig, spotting a gay, spotting, identifying how much somebody's worth and whether or not they're Jewish.
His gaydar looks like like an air traffic controller's radar, and all these little dots coming closer towards him.
Well, we're going to see what happens with that. I was thinking too about this little piece of business I have on tape with the other whack packer who says he's not gay is Medicated Pete.
Really? You think Medicated Pete is gay?
Well, I know he sleeps with women. I think Medicated Pete's it's confusing. I'll play you this tape.
The only person confused is Howard. Everybody else is quite aware of his own why this happens to be why he has to pile drive this bit into.
Also, Howard says he's not gay, and yet he's about to bring in a penis for him to look at.
Yep.
This is triggering something I wanted to say is I think. Well, obviously that he has body dysmorphic disorder. Mm-hmm. And part of this mental illness, which I think he suffers from, is he's preoccupied with a defect in himself, which maybe in this case is he's gay and he's also doesn't like the way he looks physically. This causes him. So you're preoccupied with this defect, or you're supposed what you think is a defect. And then it causes you distress. That's the second stage. So you're excessively concerned with this defect that you think you have, and it impairs you from social related activities that you can participate in. Yep. And you also are obsessed with pointing it out in other people. And a lot of times, too, they said that they're obsessed with their genitalia and they're consumed about it and outing other people for the same defect that they see in themselves.
It's all projection.
Yep.
one of the qualities is that it says you avoid mirrors, you don't allow your picture to be taken, wearing excessive makeup or growing a beard or facial hair, wearing certain types of clothing, hats, scarves to cover up the flaw, multiple doctor visits, constantly changing clothes, undergoing multiple surgeries, constantly thinking of appearance, seeking reassurance, avoiding social situations, never leaving the house or leaving it less often, appearing camouflaged, believing others take...
this is Howard's Wikipedia page you're reading right now?
No, this is literally all the symptoms of and how you are when you have body dysmorphic disorder.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting because it nails everything that he is.
Yeah.
And part of it, I think, has to do with his anorexia and his closetedness.
Yeah. It most definitely. So I'm going to go into now I have 4 samples. So pick, guys, I'll let you choose. There's vial sample 1, 2, 3, and 4. So choose one, and they're all equally horrendous, I think.
Go ahead, Sam.
Oh my God. Let's choose.
It's like, let's make a deal.
Vial sample 2.
Okay.
What is that, Eric? Is that your ball?
It's in the right cock.
But there's your balls, right?
That's what I'm saying. It looks like this is what we're
You don't know what I'm looking at?
This is incredible.
This might be.
This sounds.
Go ahead.
This sounds like a fake high pitch Eric. Like his voice sounds very strained to get this high almost.
So you think it's manufactured completely?
Well, it does not sound like the natural high pitch Eric we've used to hear, right?
Well, I think this is the nature of being scripted. You have to go a certain length of time, and you have to stretch this out to be so long. So they've got to. Now this is where you talk about, now talk about your balls. There might even be cue cards, like Marlon Brando in The Godfather. There might even be Bowie with cue cards on his lapel saying, now talk about your shaft. Talk about your balls. Where is it? What is it shaped like? What does it smell like? They're all. I don't know if it's scripted. I don't think it's scripted per se, but do you know what I mean? Like, make sure you talk about this.
You know what little character Shuli has? He's presumably got no interest in seeing a man's penis. Yet he's willing to go along with it to please his boss, to the point of where when Eric starts getting aroused, Shuli's like, yeah, he actually says that. And so you got Howard, who really wants to see penises, and Eric, who really wants his penis seen by Chris and Howard. And you got Chris, who really likes to see penises. And you got Robin, who's heterosexual. And you got Shuli, who actually is so friendly with High Pitch that he brings him over to dinner, has him hang out with his daughter, and so on. He trashes him when he's on the air, but off the air, he's the closest thing he has to a friend. And he's sitting there watching his friend's penis and going, yeah, as it gets aroused.
And suppressing the gag reflex.
Shuli has.
Yeah.
Shuli might, for the right amount of money,
gay for pay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's play the rest of it.
Howard, I've never seen anything like this in nature.
Well, those are his balls, aren't they?
These are his balls.
Right, and where's his penis?
That right there is the head of his cock. That literally is inside the. It's almost like it's imploded within the shaft itself.
All right, so now what is he supposed to do with that, Eric?
the way he explains it is almost like, I don't know, some narrator for a documentary.
Like, let me just reiterate this bit.
Yeah.
To prove that High Pitch is gay, High Pitch has to show Howard his penis.
Yeah.
How does that prove that High Pitch is gay?
Well, allowing Chris to touch it, to grab at it. That means he's
this
gay.
is like, he's like.
And he's a slow adult. He is not, do you know what I mean? Like, this is so wrong on so many levels. If he has a reaction and gets hard from touching, as somebody that maybe doesn't have the intelligence or you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, what?
This is like a Mark Twain character scamming, where he goes, it's, such a chore. It's just such a delight to whitewash this fence, and he ends up charging kids or whatever to go and whitewash the fence so he doesn't do the chore. This is Howard getting to see a penis and then saying at the end, you're gay for showing me your penis.
Right.
that I asked you to do for my smiling face and cameras.
Oh my Lord! Anyway, we got, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you want to go further, you can with your. So there's some channel on YouTube that's actually now streaming whole shows that shouldn't last long. I don't know why. Oh, it's got the last couple days on, and I swear to God, if you go through it yourself, you will be fully disgusted. You'll cure yourself of your Howard Stern subscription real fast if you really listen to it. So the last bit,
but it
because
is just amazing that people turn the other cheek, just look the other way, and don't see this as a joke and boys being boys.
Right, or even worse, just casually saying, well, it is what it is. I'll take that. Sorry to quote Bowie, but it is what it is. I'll take this over no show. Meanwhile, how many shows have people gone on to listen to instead of Stern over the years because he's been so infrequent? Rogan, Joey Diaz got a podcast. Jim Florentine has a podcast for ages now. Tons of them. Opie and Anthony before then, and Ron Beddington. There's so much better programming out there, and people still insist on saying they're fans, and I don't understand it. I'm an ex-super fan.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. What they can't bring themselves to say that. Sam?
I was going to say something, but then
thought better of it.
Well, it's just how does the media look the other way? How does celebrities look the other way?
That's what I was going to say. Ellen is the biggest, poster child for gay LGBTQ rights and figurehead of this, and she has him on the show and goes on his show, and they have a friendship. How can you be friends with somebody that takes gleeful joy in outing people in this depraved way?
Well, she's not a listener. That's the thing.
What kind of... I think that says something... not just on Howard's character, but on all these people and all these celebrities that don't do their homework and don't take a stand and say...
I feel like everyone else is complicit. And we're sitting here going, this is exploitation. This is wrong. When people say, when will Howard ever be honest about his sexuality and come out? When his parents die, will he come out? My answer to that is Howard can't come out. Because... when men find out that he was sexually turned on by men, the lawsuits that will come his way, because they were all led to believe this was a gag. Oh, I'm not really gay. I'm just doing it as a joke. But you got sexually turned on by it. So now you're suddenly a predator. And, this footage that you have of all these men doing this stuff and the smile on your face wasn't because you thought it was a big funny joke, and how sexually turned on you are after they leave the room. Did you have to call your wife and say, wasn't I great when I had sex the other day? You got sex on your mind like crazy during this stuff. So anyway, he can never be honest about it. So he'll have to settle for a life of getting his employees to show them their penises without him actually touching.
But there's a few bits that we didn't go through that I don't know that we want to, but I'll just address them so people know we did not skip over. We did not ignore them. We just didn't get to them. One was on the 24th. The unfunny Howard loses to a scripted Simon Cowell bit, which is not the first time that's happened, where the
he's never won.
Taped Simon Cowell gets the best of him, so he can't even shadowbox with that. Then also at one point, Robin calls him a mess. And she's talking, I can't remember the context. It was on the 19th. But then also the Kirk Douglas charity and making fun of Kirk's impediment. We should play that just briefly before we go into the last bit.
Anyway, you were saying, what else is in the news?
Kirk Douglas. I always like to see how people...
Pause.
How much money they're worth at the end of their life.
Yeah, how they take care of the money, what they decide to do with it after they die. And they are saying that Kirk Douglas was worth about $80 million. He left an $80 million estate.
That's pretty good.
And
it's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of dough.
Went to charity.
I like that. His son has, he could leave his money with some, but his son's worth about $300 million, Michael Douglas. And he probably was like, you know what, Dad? I don't need your money. You want to give it to charity, go ahead. Right?
Howard would never do that.
You think they talked about it?
Yeah. Ben?
Further, when Howard hears that the guy's worth $80 million and he goes, that's pretty good. he's being sarcastic. That's actually amazing to be worth $80 million. But Howard is actually rolling his eyes at that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to scroll forward.
Okay, Dad. Causes. And now they
go.
Okay.
By the way, I'm surprised Kirk was worth $80 million. Back then, they didn't pay you that much.
There you go.
Yeah, but he made movies for a long time. He was one of the top guys.
Right. The only thing I don't like about giving away money once you die is you're not around for the accolades.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Well, then what? I mean, you're not around for anything.
The guy just gave $80 million to charity, and he doesn't even get anything.
So this is what a charitable person. These are the people still defending. Oh, he did give to Scott Salem. He must have.
Right.
Yeah, right. You listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening with the same ears that were created by by evolution that I have, there's no way you could listen to this and say this is a generous person.
No.
He would give a shit if a dog was beaten in the street in front of him.
Right.
The only reason why he cares about this is because he could to get up and make a speech, wear some stupid outfit, trek her around on a red carpet, and be awarded some fake NSAL award.
Or slow dance with the groom at some wedding.
So if you give it to a person, you're not around either.
I know. Horrible, isn't it?
I don't argue with nature the way you do.
No, I do. I have a problem with nature. But I like Kirk Douglas, and I like his son Michael. Made a lot of great movies, especially Fatal Instinct.
So he fucked this one up completely. That was a Carl Reiner film.
That was good.
That was
Fatal Attraction.
I mean, Fatal Attraction.
It was Basic Instinct. You like that one?
I like that too. And I even like that movie Michael Douglas made called Black Rain. You ever watch that?
Oh yeah.
He loves it because it's incredibly racist towards Japanese.
He's eulogizing his son now, who's not dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Paying a tribute to his son, who's alive.
I think the guy's name was John Lone.
Yep.
And no, it was not John Lone. John Lone was not in the film. Sorry, Robin.
And Kirk Douglas seemed like a pretty good guy. And you know what? Leaving his money to charity, very nice. What were the charities, did they say?
Well, he started his own foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think most of the money went there. And then he also supported a couple of other things.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. The guy had a nice long life.
This is commentary. This is what he has to say.
Yeah, that's about it. I thought I got the mocking part, but at one point he starts doing the voice, like dang 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 dang. And then when I heard that, I go, you just arsehole. He's been doing this for ages, but now then that also gets ignored. So the last bit was Beth calling in and Sam, I'm certainly sorry because I know you're on your last legs and we got to get you some sleep. You got to let you get some sleep. This is about him calling Beth and she's angry. She's pissed off that he's called her, and there's also a little discussion about how his masculinity, how well he screwed her after because of Peloton. So another Peloton plug.
On the wrap-up show, I did find it interesting. They talked about the call, and Gary said that he gets nervous when he has to get a hold of her because they go through a process, I guess, in order to get a hold of her.
Oh, really?
Yes. He has to text her first to see if she's available. Then he has to tell her what it's about somewhat, but not totally, because Howard thinks that she won't come on if they give it all away.
Sure.
So she was texting him back and forth, I guess, saying like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to do this. And they were kind of not even sure if she was going to come on. So I'm prefacing that.
And she will happily go on any morning show except her husband's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's first of all, that's mainstream. Howard's not mainstream anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, my darling, where is she?
This better be good. I'm in the middle of feeding everybody.
Feeding the cats.
Yeah.
The feeding
of them.
Yeah.
This better be good.
Yeah.
That's how you talk to somebody you love. That's your sweet love. This better be good because I'm hungover as Christ feeding these cats.
This is an unemployed woman.
Well,
saying,
yeah, she's really talking to her employer. She should be careful.
Exactly.
She might get fired.
This better be good.
Rush, and I'm nervous what this question is.
And that was one of the questions the listeners asked me. I was talking about how you and I were sitting around the other day, and we were deciding where to be buried.
Yeah.
And I said I want to be in a mausoleum above ground.
Isn't he already sort of in a mausoleum when he's at home? Basically, it goes into this whole where do you want to be buried and how do you want to be buried. But then she goes into, if we play a little bit more, but she starts going into more affirmations of how much she loves him and how much she'd want to stay with him.
Because I'm afraid that they might make a mistake and declare me dead, and I'll really be alive.
So I'll go.
Then get buried with Howard.
Yeah, you should throw yourself right on the casket when I go.
I'm going to bury myself alive.
Can I be honest? I got to tell you something. My love for Beth, at least this is coming from me. There's no one I want.
Well, it's a lie now because we have the "Can I be honest?"
Yes, absolutely, and he said
more
that.
than Beth. I mean,
Right.
she's the love of my life. She really, truly is. I love my marriage with her, and I'm even putting a chair in my mausoleum so Beth
she can sit there.
so she can come visit me and talk to me when she has problems. But
Inside.
I recognize that she is a very beautiful woman, and
she has needs too.
And I know, well, not really.
Jesus Christ.
No, she doesn't, because not with you.
No.
That came out fast.
Yeah.
I don't recognize
And
that.
Beth doesn't defend herself either.
No.
She has needs when it comes to me. But God forbid I die and she has needs. I don't feel you have needs for anyone else, but
I don't feel is not actually accurate. It's I don't care if you have needs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But who knows?
It's just you don't.
Thing is, let's say she did get married.
Let's say no. I was going to say she doesn't ever marry anyone again,
Oh, well, then there's a no-brainer.
but she does have someone.
Oh, a friend
Yeah.
who like accompanies her to
A
theater.
friend
and-
with benefits.
yeah, fuck that guy.
He'd love to.
Honey, I want to be with you always.
Thank you. Everyone heard it.
So you'll just tell that guy he has to put you in with Howard.
Yeah, so your crispy remains are coming in there with me.
Now, I fret to ask, what would you do in the reverse situation?
Well, listen, I have needs. No, I'm done. After you, that's it. I want to be with you. I love this
Okay.
woman so much.
You're never going to have another love.
Never. I mean, if I do, I'll keep it private.
We know. And the last one, go ahead,
let
Sam.
it go, because let it go.
Is there
Because
more?
I think she accidentally says something about him. Like,
Oh, I only have about 24 seconds left, so maybe it's fine.
It'll be a secret. We'll have to out
bring her in with us. That's fine.
bring him in with us. Did she say?
They should bring her
Oh,
in with us.
okay.
Yeah. So in the last bit, of course, is him talking about his prowess.
You're very, very good looking, as we know.
Yeah, but hun, I'm not getting any younger. I only
You
can
seem
think
to
of
be.
you. We're going to be together a long, more years. It's not. You're the only one that thinks I'm hot.
She sounds like she's panicking.
Yeah. Did you get that? You're the only one that thinks I'm hot.
Yeah, they've both agreed that Beth's only value in life is her looks. That's what
Yeah.
they're saying right now.
Right.
Without them, I'm nothing.
Yep.
out of here.
You just published that picture of yourself in a bikini. There were like 19 articles about that you're hot.
That I paid to have you in.
Does anybody want to see if there's actually 19?
Yeah.
No,
You know it.
because you know my angles when you shoot me.
I made love to you the other night. How fast did I erupt? I mean, it was ridiculous.
You were very I don't know
Energetic.
what's the word. It was great. Yes.
You know why I was good?
I think it's because of all of your exercising, and you look so good, and I think that you have a new energy about you. It's great.
Yeah, Beth will tell you, since I started doing Peloton and hydro and all that stuff, he said to me I was like a young man on fire.
You're hot.
I was thrusting vigorously.
Well, glad to hear it.
Right on?
You look very, very good.
Yeah.
You look very
See,
good.
so it's not about sex. It's about what it feels like. You look very, very good.
And you and you never want to brag about how fast you finished. How fast did I finish the other night? And that's exactly the opposite of what he said earlier. He said, "Oh, Beth was complimenting me on my stamina." And as soon as she gets her on the phone, he goes, "How fast did I finish the other night?"
Right.
You're not supposed to brag about how fast you finish.
Right.
And Beth isn't supposed to be feeling like it was great you finished so fast.
Now, this is key. Let's note the word when I play this last 10 seconds. Note the word he uses to describe himself.
Wild. Because, well, she wasn't going wild, but I was going wild. She nicknamed me the jackhammer. Right.
Oh.
Oh.
Yes, honey, sweetheart, whatever you like.
By the way, go to my...
Okay, now,
whatever
wasn't the jackhammer
like.
that the guy they were trying to get Brent and Caitlin to cuck with?
Yeah, who obviously Howard can't stop thinking about.
The jackhammer's still heavily on his mind. So that was
Also,
that pretty
too,
much
like
brings
he
us
said,
to the rest of that.
She said, "Oh, whatever you like. Yeah, say whatever you want about our sex life. I don't give a shit.
Whatever makes you happy."
I know we're about to wrap up, but there's one thing that and this is not news.
Yeah.
But Robin brought up in her news, or during the news, they were talking about some trans actress, and of course Howard has to follow her on Instagram, and he has to add, I like trans, and he has to always volunteer something like that, and he's made it clear over and over and over again how much he likes trans, and I find this to be the creepiest thing about him, because what you're saying is, I like women who were born as men and believe they were in the wrong body, so they have the equipment that men have, but they present as women. Yeah. And so you that's a very weird kink and fetish to have. And it's one that he's had. It's not saying that you like drag queens. It's saying that you like people who were born in the wrong body and deal with all the trauma that comes with that and have all the psychological baggage that comes with that. And then at a certain point, and he likes them because he finds them attractive. This is just a quick thing here. But, you know, Howard will say, and he's been saying this for years, when people talk about like, oh, I'm a leg man, I'm a butt man, I'm a breast man, he'll go, I'm a vagina man. And you go, no straight guy has ever said that. You're confused. You go, I don't understand. You mean that's your fetish? And then he further adds, he hates seeing vagina in porn. So he's a vagina man who hates not only the sight of it, but the smell of it. And we're supposed to believe, by the way, that he loves lesbian porn where there's double the thing that he hates. But the thing about trans is
a double vagina.
The thing about trans is they don't have the one thing he claims he's a vagina. They don't have the one body part he claims is his thing.
Yeah.
They have a penis. I mean, they might have had an operation.
It's so dark.
It's very dark because it's not simply I like the way they look. Because obviously it used to be transgender was made fun of. I mean, we had Siobhan, the transgender, on the show. We had Casey was ridiculed because he was with a transgender.
Tula, the transsexual.
We had Tula, who Howard was fascinated by and obsessed with, and allowed to touch his penis. And says in his book that he would accept a blowjob from her.
Yeah.
But it's a very weird thing because he keeps volunteering it. We know that his DVR is filled with trans shows. We know that his wife, we know he has a burner Twitter account that he uses to follow trans. Yeah. And we know that Beth has told him, you're so obsessed you should marry one. It's a very kinky, dark, weird thing because you're obsessed with people who were born in the wrong body.
Mm-hmm. And how many times you add all those drag photos of him, and you start, and the pretty woman fascination and everything, all the years of things that he's alluded to over the years, and it adds up to a very, very sexually confused and dark person. Sam?
There's a lot of puzzle pieces. It's that piece and a bunch of other pieces that create this Frankenstein that we have.
Yeah.
That's portrayed very differently. But then we have other people, like I loved Jim Norton and the Opie and Anthony show, and I listened to Jim and Stam still. He's always been honest about how Jim
Norton is a freak.
He is a freak.
He has always hooked up with trans people and, you know, been sexually involved with trans people. A part of me wishes Howard would just explore this side of him that he wants to be, because I think it makes him I don't know, like more horrible of a human being the more he deprives himself of what he truly wants to do.
I want him to be deprived of whatever makes him happy.
Me too.
I want him to be tortured. I want this, that he has to keep up an act. He deserves all of that. He doesn't deserve to be happy.
He brought it on himself, and he reaped the rewards of being otherwise for years and decades, and not just stealing material.
Sam, you have a copy of the book Miss America. There's a photo of Ben Stern in drag right in the beginning of the book. And Howard used to see his father in drag often as a boy, because Ben would play the female part in community theater because they thought it was funny to have this tall man with a deep booming voice and hairy chest to play a lady. Yep. And I think little Howard was turned on by this, and that it made an impression of him that he's been warped forever since then.
I think so.
From being turned on by...
He's been imprinted by this.
Right. And he hates his father for it, and he wishes his father would cuddle him for it, and he wishes, whatever else. But I do think that it's a real sickness to be so turned on by people who should not be a fetish. What I mean is that you should not look at them as objects of fetish. They're people who have gone through trauma.
Yeah.
And have had a hard time, and now they're your kink.
Well, there's a 7-minute clip that I'm going to re-upload because it was on my old channel, and now I think it's not on the new one. But at any rate, it's Howard and Casey and Ralph talking about how they watched transsexual porn together.
Oh.
And talking about how they thought this one was hot, that one was hot. And this would have been 98, maybe 99. So well into the divorce and well into his Mad Tear days, which most of us theorize that was just him, going AC/DC, and we'll never know. But the
Mad Tear is what I call his anal fissures, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I think so. I'm going to re-upload that and let everybody get a listen to that. And you tell me after listening to that if you don't think otherwise. So there's just way too much fire for there to be no smoke.
Yeah.
And at any rate, anything else you guys would like to say in closing?
No.
Yeah, it's been a long one. You guys deserve all the sleep you get tonight. So thank you so much for participating. As soon as we get it uploaded, you'll all get the notification on Podbean, and if you have subscribed to it. If you haven't, join our Facebook group. It's great. And we're on Twitter as well, and we'll be on YouTube ASAP. So until next time, I'm Fillmore.
I'm Sam.
I'm guest Benjamin.
Special guest. All right, take care, everybody. Enjoy it, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Let's get skinny. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 3, 2, and 3.
Okay, Takashi, what do you got?
Well, I think I have a frush.
What the fuck is a frush?
Frush.
Oh, well, see, I got 2 7s, and 2 7s beats a frush.
Oh, thank you.